leave that alone. We're going to dive into it.
Hold on, guys. We're going to go live on YouTube right now and get things fired up here. All right. Hello, everyone on YouTube. I tell you right now, we are in for one awesome show tonight because not only do we have Science Bob here for Science Bob and Friends, but we have the legendary, the mystical, the man of the moment when it comes to everything that is paranormal, supernatural. The owner of the Skinwalker Ranch, Brandon Fugal, is with us tonight. And I'm going to tell you, this is probably going to be one of our highest rated shows we have ever done. And I am very much looking forward to it. Before I say hello to Bob and Brandon, I want to give a shout out to everybody in our chat room so far. Hi, Brian. How you doing? Bees Nest, Devin, Long Island Bigfoot, good to see you. Cat Chaser, Jarhead, Tommy L, Paul, Jim Christie, thank you for coming on in. Teresa Davis, always a pleasure. Jules, your hair is looking fantastic tonight. Yes, Becky Belling, you're looking stunning tonight. Denali Princess, always a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for coming on in. Steam Train Mark from Australia, please let us know how tomorrow is looking since you live in the future. Millennium, good to see you. Mark Salzman, thank you for coming on in. Spookles the Cat, the best damn PR person on social media a team like mine could have. Nuck, good to see you. Vintage Beard, Pyridoxine, Chefist, thank you for coming on in. Go66, Ronald Weaver, thank you for coming on in. Ronald, pleasure to have you here in our chat room for the first time. Science Bob, good to see you in the chat room as well. Science Bob, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Really looking forward to this.
Me too. And Brandon Fugal, thank you so much for coming on in. We are about 3.5 minutes away from getting our radio side going, but what a pleasure it is to have you on Spaced Out Radio tonight. And I can promise you, you are going to get some of the best radio that you've ever done and may ever do tonight. I don't say that to be cocky, but I say that because we love to be professional around here and ask quality questions. And thank you for taking the time.
Well, it's a privilege to be with both of you this evening, and I look forward to hopefully shedding new light on some of these topics and consider it an honor to hopefully be with you and engage also with the public.
Oh, yeah. Our public is pretty animated, and they are very, very intelligent. We are very fortunate to have an audience like that. And I'm sure if you go back and check out our YouTube channel, and check out the comments that we will have in there, we are very blessed to have a lot of brilliant people who listen to this show, and they take these topics very seriously. They don't horse around, and it's going to be, we couldn't do it without them. That's for sure.
Great.
Absolutely. All right, my friends, we have about 2 minutes to go here before we launch. Everything is looking great. So at the beginning of the show, I will, when music is on, I will read an intro to the show, intro to you guys. We will go to break at 29 and then 59, and same again on the other side of the breaks as well. And we're going to have, we'll try and be astute on our time limits here, and always feel free to go into as much detail as you want to go, Brandon. I don't think between Bob or myself that we're going to cut you off. The audience is here to hear you, not us. So it'll be a lot of fun, man.
Have you done an interview show this long, Brandon?
My first foray into this medium was really Coast to Coast with George Knapp, and I think that was a lengthy interview. But this will probably match it as it relates to time and also delving into the subject matter, the content. But
I was just going to say, you got to go in first with George. George Knapp is king of Skinwalker. It's great that you went on with him first.
Well, George Knapp is a good friend and an incredible investigative journalist.
Oh, incredible! The best.
That was kind of my first big launch. But so you'll have to bear with me. I don't have a lot of experience when it comes to a radio, and especially addressing these topics in a public manner. I just barely revealed my interest and, of course, my ownership of the ranch just a few months ago, back in March. And I think it was the Vice article that initially broke the story and, provided the big reveal. So it's good to be with you. I haven't really spoken to anyone in this capacity for a number of months since our investigative series really launched. So it'll be fun to reflect back on that as you wish, and also really kind of address these topics and the ranch in particular.
Great.
All right, gentlemen, we got 10 seconds. And if you're new to our channel on YouTube, please do us a favor, hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, thumbs down, ring that bell. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. You can support us by joining our Space Travelers Club for $5 a month, as well as doing a little shopping at the SOR Vault. We are going to have an amazing show for you tonight, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to kick it off right now. Music is on. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I'm your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live and Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Tonight on our monthly feature, Science Bob and Friends, we are heading deep into the Uinta Basin to learn about Skinwalker Ranch. Lifetime scientist Bob McGwier joins us to bring a scientific and unique perspective to the paranormal world through the educational lenses of his community. Tonight, Science Bob and I will bring in probably one of the biggest names we've ever had appear on this show. He's a businessman first, family man as well, and the owner of Skinwalker Ranch, Mr. Brandon Fugal. Now, Mr. Fugal bought the infamous ranch in 2016 off of billionaire Robert Bigelow. It's only been within the last number of months that Mr. Fugal has come out publicly to discuss what is going on with the legendary history of the ranch. UFOs, skinwalkers, paranormal activity. It is all on board for tonight. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. Science Bob, we kick things off with you. Another great edition of this show tonight, my friend.
Oh, I'm very excited, Dave, to be here. And Brandon, thank you so very much for accepting our invitation to come and have a conversation with us.
Well, it's a privilege to be with you, gentlemen, and great to address these topics to a global audience. And I look forward to hopefully answering any questions that you and others have as we continue our journey and our investigative series out at Skinwalker Ranch.
That's beautiful. So, of course, there's a tremendous amount of curiosity about who is Brandon Fugal. So, if you don't mind, tell us what you're comfortable telling us about the history of your life, how you got to be a commercial real estate person, and then what experiences did you have in life that brought you to an interest in Skinwalker Ranch? Because I'm sure our audience and others are tremendously curious.
Well, no, thank you so much. A little bit of my background. I'm born and raised in Utah in a small town, Pleasant Grove, where I've lived the majority of my life, other than a couple of years where I lived in Hawaii. I launched my career in commercial real estate at the age of 18, literally 1 week out of high school. With a focus on selling office properties and mixed-use commercial developments up and down the Wasatch Front. Early in my career, I built a proprietary database tracking not only all of the inventory in the market and all of the buildings, but also the companies and the key players and influencers behind those companies in order to really develop a crystal ball look into the future of what was going to happen in our market and the growth of really the crossroads of the West, which is quickly becoming the crossroads of the world. So for the majority of my life, I've really focused on more conventional pursuits, primarily and initially in commercial real estate, where I launched Coldwell Banker Commercial's Utah and Intermountain operations, which I grew to 30 offices nationwide, over 650 people in 11 states, and most recently merged with global giant Colliers International, which is one of the big three global commercial real estate firms, where I currently serve as the chairman of really the Intermountain operation. In addition to those activities, I have also launched and been involved with a number of technology ventures, ranging everywhere from software development to also scientific instrumentation. And have had a lot of fun as an entrepreneur, being involved at every stage of development, from inception to liquidity events, and really expanding my base within the business community, and being able to work with an extraordinary group of people, entrepreneurs and leaders that I think are really changing our world. It's been an interesting ride, and this new chapter involving Skinwalker Ranch has been a little bit of a twist. I think most people, especially in my market, in my business community, have been surprised to learn of both my interest and also my investment and dedication to really exploring some of these more unconventional topics, which we're coming together to speak on tonight. So I come to you and the listeners as an open book with transparency, and in the spirit of collaboration, look forward to sharing with you some of not only our key insights, but also the steps along the way in this journey, which I think is just getting started. I think we're just barely scratching the surface of understanding what is at play at Skinwalker Ranch, and also really the nature of our universe and the world around us. So it's good to be with you. That's kind of a quick primer into my background. So I'm the oldest of four boys. I count my father as my greatest mentor and example, and I've also been surrounded by some incredible partners and individuals who've really helped influence me along my path. I've been very fortunate to have great partners and clients that have trusted me with their business and with the opportunity to represent them. And I never intended to reveal my identity as the owner of the most scientifically studied paranormal hotspot on the planet. And it's coming out and going public with this involvement in this project is a little bit out of my comfort zone, but I'm trying to get used to it and trying to be equal to the task before me. But I think being a child of the 80s, grew up in a Spielberg-esque type of environment, raised on a steady diet of Star Wars and Close Encounters and Raiders of the Lost Ark, and all of those things that inspired youth back in those days. In fact, it's funny. There's a series on television called Stranger Things. You're probably familiar with it. And I joke with people often that I feel like they literally just copy and pasted my childhood, because I was that exact same age, that time frame. And that whole series so far has really captured kind of the spirit of some of my youth, as far as growing up in small town Pleasant Grove and and in an interesting period of time in our country's history, and also having good friends and confidants along the way. I was an Eagle Scout. Had a lot of involvement in the scouting program growing up. Was involved with student politics in high school. Had my own radio show. So this is kind of fun to join with you gentlemen tonight on this show and in this medium. My show was the KPGR Colt, which was an FM radio station that the high school had, and it was my first real experience with radio and media. That it was a lot of fun at the time. But and then as I launched my career in commercial real estate, and my entrepreneurial pursuits, I ended up I think maturing and having some exciting experiences in the business community. The first developer who took a chance on me that was actually breaking ground on a 6-story Class A office building and a large mixed-use master plan project was a gentleman named Jim Morse. And if you've watched the Secret of Skinwalker Ranch series, you'll see Jim Morse. He's introduced as the ranch manager, wears kind of a cowboy hat most of the time, and kind of a Native American vest. But Jim was really my first big client and the first developer that took a risk on me when I was just barely 18 years of age, as he was breaking ground on his building, and I had the honor of representing that project and going out into the business community and marketing that building. And it was out of that experience that we built a relationship that has spanned decades. And I think what you'll find regarding Skinwalker Ranch is that we've treated our investigation and our work out there, with a degree of, I think, seriousness, and also we've treated our team as a ranch family. Jim is someone who has had an influence in my life from 18 years of age, and several of the others that are involved with the series and with the investigative research that we're doing have been with me for many, many years, and probably could have never imagined either being on television or being roped into something of this nature. So it's quite an adventure and an experience for all of us. But I ended up taking a 2-year break from ages 19 to 21 and served a mission, a religious mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and that's where I lived in Hawaii for a couple of years, and had an incredible experience there, just getting to know the people of the islands and loving them and the incredible culture that they have, and then coming back and literally the day after getting back from my mission, jumping right back into the world of commercial real estate and business head first, and I've never really looked back. And so that's a little bit of a quick primer on my background. Feel free to ask me anything you wish. And again, it's an honor to be with you on this show and to hopefully address what we are doing at Skinwalker Ranch and the path forward.
Okay, let me poke past the veil just a little bit and take you down a place. I noticed very early on in the series that you're a faith-based family, and just as a introduction to me, my father was a minister, and I noticed that your family's faith-based when your brother asked Travis Taylor, could he say a prayer before they took a flight. So naturally, it's a bit of curiosity to me, and I'm sure to others, given your faith-based background. Can you comment on how your faith has influenced your path through this study?
You bet. That's a very good question, a very valid question. And you're right. The what was captured in the first episode of the series was very raw and vulnerable and authentic. In fact, my brother, Cameron, who is the pilot and runs the aviation interests of the family and has been my private pilot for my business endeavors, for the last 15 years is very spiritual. And as we have been involved with the ranch, we have grown to understand that we're dealing with phenomena and forces that are unknown, that are both malevolent and benevolent, we believe. And we believe that in approaching the ranch, both physically and figuratively, it really does require reverence and humility. And we offer prayer, and before entering the airspace or even driving into the property, we encourage all those who enter in their own way to prepare themselves and armor themselves spiritually for what they may encounter on the property. As I was raised Latter-day Saint as a Christian, and as for my faith, was raised to believe that we are not alone in the universe, that there is a higher power, a heavenly Father that loves us. There's a plan for us, and that this mortal existence is just a brief moment in time relative to our eternal progression, and that there is more than meets the eye to our reality. And I found that, our experience at Skinwalker Ranch is not in conflict with my faith or the faith of others. In fact, if anything, it's faith affirming. I think what we are witnessing and recording, the data that we are collecting, really, I think, gives credibility to, I think, the fact that we aren't alone in the universe, and that there is a greater plan here, and that there are no coincidences. But a little bit of a long answer to your question. I find that this research and these efforts are not in conflict with my faith, and I've found that in being involved with this effort, I've found that my own faith, although complex, has been strengthened, because it's funny. Anyone who believes in an afterlife, and I think most people who live on this planet believe that there is life after death, that there is some higher power, however they characterize it. I mean, every culture and every religious creed defines that differently. But I think, one thing that we see in common among people is that there is a belief that there is, more to this life than, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. And, one of the greatest challenges in life and with faith is that, it's difficult to prove any of this scientifically, to prove that there is, life beyond this mortal existence. And I guess the interesting thing that I've come to realize is, if you believe that your consciousness or your spirit or your soul, however you define it, carries on beyond this mortal existence, you believe in a multidimensional universe, in my opinion. Because the spirit world or the next realm is just simply another dimension of reality, I believe, that sits alongside ours, and it's arguably just as tangible, just as real. And, the challenge is, proving that, or at least, living by faith and putting your faith and hope in that. And I think, what we're witnessing, to a degree with the ranch is evidence that there is more than meets the eye to our existence, that there are other dimensions of reality that are interacting with ours. I think there are a number of things happening and that we're recording that really attest to the fact that we're definitely not alone. Now, whether that means that we're being visited by people from other worlds, I don't know. But I think without question, we're definitely seeing evidence of multidimensional interaction taking place, and things that really transcend our more, I think, conventional view of reality.
Brandon Fugal is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio on Science Bob and Friends. Brandon, we've got about 4 minutes before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Why do this? Why buy Skinwalker Ranch? You're a successful businessman. You are somebody who is very involved in your own faith. You're a family man first and foremost. You have everything you need in life, and you've taken on this incredible challenge of Skinwalker Ranch. Why do this?
Good question, because I've had my hands full with just the obligations with the various projects and the clients that I serve. I consider this the greatest science project of our time. I don't think that there is a more compelling opportunity to delve into the nature of our world in the universe than that which we are encountering at Skinwalker Ranch. To have a 512-acre piece of property that has been serving as a living laboratory that has been really under constant surveillance for 24 years and has been part of a Pentagon black budget program for a period of time during the last decade, I think is not only something that sets this apart and makes it unique, but I think presents an incredible opportunity under the right stewardship. And the way I have approached this is really as a steward, as someone who is really given the responsibility of taking the research forward and really building on the insights that were gleaned from past investigations and efforts. So in short, I think, the opportunity to engage with, phenomena and really be involved with a research project that could open new doors of understanding relative to our own reality. And, could very well could be give us some key insights into the nature of our own existence in the universe is something that is inspiring and compelling.
Very interesting. So with that, do you feel that your own opinion of everything from the phenomena that's happening compared to how it's tested your own spirituality has changed you as a person? And we have about 65 seconds.
Sure. If anything, it has been incredibly humbling. And with every day that passes by and the older I get, I come to realize the less I know. I don't know if you've ever felt that way in your lives, but I feel like the older I get, the less I really know. And I feel like we're just barely scratching the surface of understanding that. I mean, understanding the nature of our own consciousness is a whole puzzle to put together. And I think we're just getting started.
Oh man, Bob, they're just getting started, my friend. Just getting started.
I agree. I agree. And as a scientist, I can tell you, every time I learn new things as a scientist, I reveal many times more questions than the one I just answered. Every time you learn more, you have more questions.
I know that.
Absolutely.
Gentlemen, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Our monthly feature, Science Bob and Friends, with scientist Bob McGwier, formerly of, oh goodness, Bob, I just went blank on your university. Virginia Tech University, and the legendary owner of Skinwalker Ranch, Mr. Brandon Fugal. We continue with Skinwalker Talk on Spaced Out Radio coming up right after this. How do I blank on your university? Damn it, I'm sorry.
Don't worry about it. That's not really important. So Brandon, that was a great half hour, and thank you.
I hope I didn't stumble too much.
No.
You were perfect.
That was what we wanted. Was for you to be open and transparent and tell people who you are, because everybody sees you as this businessman who has purchased this ranch from a former owner who was a mysterious billionaire, and so you've inherited some of this mysteriousness, and it's just, I think, useful to the overall endeavor for us to try to poke through some of that mysteriousness.
Oh no, I'm eager to open up and I want people to know that there is no weird hidden agenda. My only agenda is to get to the truth and to share that truth with everyone. And so I've never, held a security clearance, worked on a government project. I haven't taken any money from anyone relative to this endeavor. This is a completely privately funded effort. And, I do see this as a stewardship. I see this as a unique opportunity to bring forward, discoveries and to engage the public in really discussing topics that have been taboo for forever. I mean, people kind of chuckle about either the UFO phenomena or, the paranormal, and, they put it in this weird box because, for the most part, the public's, experience is watching ghost hunters with a bunch of guys tripping over their dicks in the dark with night vision. And there's not a whole lot of scientific rigor.
And who is goofier than Zach Bagans and all of his crew? I mean, it's just so
no
weird.
Kidding.
Oh my goodness.
No kidding.
And they've got these great engineers that keep building toys for them, but I mean, they're just goofy.
Yeah, it's and in some ways it's good. It's good entertainment. There's no harm in that. But in other ways, it really makes light of the topic, and it destroys it destroys the integrity and the reality in so many ways of these topics, and no wonder so many people are skeptics, and no wonder that the scientific community scoffs at a lot of these things when you have such a parade of really unprofessional people that are just trying to either make a buck, get famous, or whatever, and again, hey, I'm the first person who loves entertainment, and I introduced myself as a child of the Spielberg era. I mean, I'm obsessed with pop culture and everything about it. But boy, I feel like what we're trying to do, notwithstanding the fact that History Channel seems to amp it up with the dramatic music and some of the edits, we really have tried to approach this with a degree of sobriety and scientific rigor that hasn't been seen on any other program, in my opinion. And so these are fun times. This is, I mean, we're in uncharted territory, in my opinion.
That is awesome. Gentlemen, we have just over 90 seconds left before we come back from break here.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so let's address the funding question when we come back out of break, because that's a piece of the curiosity, and then we're going to go into several other things that I think are of general interest, and then dive into some science.
Sure. And from our audience, Dave Altman says hello to you, Brandon, and glad to hear you on Space Out Radio.
Yeah. Well, to give Dave my best, Dave is quite an enthusiast and a huge advocate for these things, and I appreciate his enthusiasm for these topics. I think one of the exciting things that we have before us is an opportunity for like-minded people who are sincere seekers of truth to engage and to share kind of their knowledge and their insights in service to putting this puzzle together, figuring out what the hell is really going on.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, we're down to our final 20 seconds here. right, about 15 seconds. And thank you for everybody who is coming on in. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up or thumbs down, or hit that subscribe button if you don't mind, if you haven't already. Great way to support what we do on this show is by going to our website, spacedoutradio.com, joining our Space Travelers Club, as well as doing a little shopping at the SOR Vault. Here we go, everyone. We are just seconds away from the show and the second half hour of Science Bob and Friends. Music is on, gentlemen. Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us tonight. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Tonight we are talking Science Bob and Friends, our monthly scientific feature here on the mighty SOR with scientist Bob McGwier and our special guest tonight, the owner of Skinwalker Ranch, Brandon Fugal. And Bob, I have to tell you before we get started here, Brandon and I were talking before the show, and I tell you, I like him even more. Why? He's a diehard Guns N' Roses fan, just like I am, man. Diehard.
Yeah, love Guns N' Roses, 80s hair metal, along with a good dose of new wave. Techno. Yeah, it's a weird combination between Def Leppard, Guns N' Roses, Poison, yes. Along with Depeche Mode, OMD,
very nice,
Erasure, Duran Duran, and again, just I'm a child of the 80s, I confess, and so I to a degree, I'm stuck back in that era and still enjoying kind of both the music and the pop culture of the time, especially during this hellish 2020 that we're all having to endure.
Exactly. I can tell you're probably like me. You had a big giant crush in the 80s on the Bangles lead singer, Susanna Hoffs. Oh, was she pretty? Walking like a magician.
MTV.
Oh yes.
Yeah, music television. What an amazing time where literally I think there was a great renaissance of music and art, pop culture, media, you name it.
Bob, I know you want to ask some serious questions here now.
I do, but I do want to comment. There's nothing wrong with Axl Rose.
Thank you.
When Mark Knopfler did, I want my MTV. We all turned on to it. Brandon, let's go into one serious question here that I think our audience is curious about, and as I am. Can you tell us, Brandon, about any others that are involved in supporting, funding, and conducting the observational work at Skinwalker Ranch? Are there others? And if there are others, what can you tell us about them?
Good question. This has been an entirely privately funded effort. I acquired the ranch, of course, from Mr. Bigelow in April of 2016. Utilizing private funds and really with the focus on keeping not only my identity confidential as the owner, as I didn't want to have any of my involvement with the ranch in this effort to compromise or distract from my professional efforts and my more conventional business. But I also wanted to really maintain a high level of integrity in really keeping it private and bringing in a new team that would bring a whole, I think, new multidisciplinary approach to Skinwalker Ranch and to the investigation. Not only delving into the history and interacting with some of the previous participants, some of the amazing scientists and people that came before us, but also, developing the scientific protocols and the instrumentation that would help us, I think, take the investigation to the next level. So this has really been a privately funded effort that I have been funding. The History Channel series. I just, in full disclosure, I have yet to put one penny in my own pocket. I am grateful to History and A&E and Prometheus, who is my executive producer and partner, in that they have provided additional resource on top of what I have been providing for years in order to bring third-party experts, engineering talent, and others into the equation to help collaborate with the team and to assist. I mean, we've had a whole other level of everything from ground penetrating radar studies to drone surveys, thermography of the ranch to really, I think employing a new set of aggressive experiments and I think scientific research in order to advance the program at Skinwalker Ranch. So it's full disclosure. It is a privately funded effort. The government is not involved in any way, shape, or form, other than being interested in how things unfold and wanting to be briefed on the reality of what we're experiencing and what we are documenting on the property. I have never held a security clearance or been involved with a government program in my life, and have kind of maintained my career as a private business person and entrepreneur, and don't intend to change that, especially when it comes to leveraging my resources and my experience in service to proper stewardship of Skinwalker Ranch.
Okay, that's great. Let me give you a two-parter and then let Dave jump in here. Well, first of all, how did the History Channel show come about, and what are their and your longer-term intentions for Skinwalker Ranch?
Good question. People involved with the History Channel were reaching out to me for over a year before I would even agree to take a meeting. In fact, they were very, very persistent. And on a weekly basis, I was being bombarded by requests through my ranch manager, Jim Morse, or my superintendent, Thomas Winterton. And I was frankly not interested. I was not excited about opening things up yet. I felt like, we were in the middle of conducting very serious scientific research on the property, and I did not want to be distracted from that. And it was only after about a year of persistence that I finally, with having the proper confidentiality agreements being signed, agreed to take a few key meetings with producers and with those involved with the History Channel and A&E, and in service to at least discussing the potential of documenting and filming what we have been involved with out at Skinwalker Ranch. I immediately, stated that, I would only consider, entering into any type of agreement for an investigative series or letting television cameras into the property if, number one, they had to commit legally that they would only present the truth, the facts. I would not allow anything to be fabricated or contrived, and was not interested in being part of any effort that was not centered 100% on authenticity and truth. Number two, I didn't have any interest in bringing outsiders into the equation and, some type of casting call type of effort relative to the participants that would be involved with the series. I demanded that it would, they'd have to involve my team that has been with me in many cases for decades. And they're people that I trust. And those were my two primary conditions to really engaging with the History Channel or really any media effort relative to the property. I was pleased that both conditions were agreed to without hesitation, but they came back with their own condition. In order to proceed forward, they felt that I needed to be involved, and they felt in order to authentically present what was happening at Skinwalker Ranch and to let the public in and to have a peek behind the scenes as to what is really happening, and really the nature of our efforts. They felt it was important that I reveal my identity as the owner of the property and be involved with the effort. Otherwise, they felt that the credibility would not only be questioned, but the real story and the motivation behind our efforts would be really, I think, not fully realized, and really, probably not see its full potential and be questioned ultimately by the public at large. And, I've mentioned, over the course of the last hour that, I view my ownership as a stewardship, as an important responsibility. And, I feel that the information and the insights that have been gleaned need to be shared with the public. I feel that we don't own the truth. I feel like no one should have a corner on the truth. And in matters of discovery and science, our findings should be presented to the public. I feel like we're all part of a greater family, and hopefully this will advance. I think our understanding of our world and the universe as we know it.
Brandon, what makes you different from Robert Bigelow? Mr. Bigelow was very secretive. He didn't allow any press there outside of George Knapp. He was very, very sticky with what was actually brought out into the public by Skinwalker Ranch. You're saying you want to do things a little bit differently, yet you still use a lot of the same scientists that Mr. Bigelow used as well. So what makes your game plan different from what he was doing?
Good question. I have great respect for Robert Bigelow. I consider him a friend, and I hope that our effort honors the past and the legacy that he has created. I have great respect for the fact that he has had the courage to come forward as a successful business person, as someone high profile, to acknowledge the reality of the phenomenon and those things that he has experienced. I think takes great courage and moxie. And there are very few credible, successful business leaders that have had not only the willingness to come forward, but also put their money where their mouth is. And I think, Robert Bigelow has done both. I think that the biggest difference, other than, there's a significant age difference between us, we're decades apart in age, is, I have approached, this research at Skinwalker Ranch with the intention of being transparent and sharing our findings with the public. And I have been very focused on getting not only to the bottom of the truth, but also disseminating that truth. And that was part of what motivated me to ultimately enter into the agreement with the History Channel to produce this investigative series, The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, is to provide a conduit, if you will, to bring the public inside the gates for the first time, and to show them right there firsthand what is happening on a regular basis with the team. I think, being able to let the public experience and to be able to witness the results of a lot of our investigation and our experiments is important. And it's an important part of, I think, moving disclosure forward and moving, I think, the dialogue and the quality of the dialogue surrounding these topics forward as well. We've seen too many media efforts that have been compromised or frankly lack the level of professionalism, dignity, or scientific rigor that I think this really deserves. And so, it's not a perfect medium. I cringe a little bit at some of the dramatic music, some of the editing that goes into it. But for the most part, I mean, I'm very proud of my partnership with Prometheus and history, and I believe that we're moving this forward like no other effort before us.
Brandon,
that's true.
Do you have? Sorry, Bob. Do you have the same contracts with the United States government as Robert Bigelow has, and are you able to discuss those if you do?
I have no contracts with the United States government. Zilch, zero. We've been asked to brief, people within the government and the intelligence community relative to, the results of our research over the course of the last 4.5 years under my ownership and stewardship. But there is absolutely no contractual relationship that exists and no formal engagement. This is an entirely privately funded and led enterprise. And the multidisciplinary team that we've brought together in service to exploring these topics on the ranch and to delve into what is really at play here is a sincere and I think an unprecedented effort that will hopefully help not only engage the public, but I think elevate the topics that are being addressed. So there is this is entirely a privately funded and led effort, and no offense to the government, I have great respect for our government. I love the United States of America. We live in the greatest nation in the history of the world. I consider myself a very patriotic person, but if you want something done right, if you want to see something truly innovative brought forward, and you want to see results, and you want to be able to execute with precision, you don't typically turn to the government. You turn to the private sector, and we're trying to use good principled approaches to really this investigation in service to getting results. I just want the truth.
That's a great answer. And just personally, I've been a scientist most of my life, but I started 2 companies to do exactly what you're talking about. Let me jump into a quick question, because I don't expect you to be a theoretical physicist, but I am absolutely certain one event, or more than one event, has the right kind of people interested. So just as a preface, Juan Maldacena is an extremely well-known theoretical physicist at the Institute for Advanced Studies in Princeton. And he has proposed an actual method based on theory of stabilizing a traversable wormhole by using entangled particles at both ends of the wormhole. Now, I'm not expecting you to tell me any of that kind of physics, but I am expecting that you have had a lot of interest in people trying to figure out how to measure things that act like or look like wormholes. You bet.
And, I'm very proud of our team. I think, Dr. Taylor, this past year, we've had 3 physicists on site for months, completely 100% focused on, not only the scientific research and the protocols, but also really, I think, approaching these topics with the appropriate degree of scientific rigor. Dr. Taylor, his credentials are are very impressive. I mean, he has multiple PhDs, 3 master's degrees. Does work with NASA, with a number of with a number of entities. I mean, you have Dr. Jim Segala, who has been an incredible member of our team, who's also a physicist who's been involved with a lot of projects, and my own Eric Bard, who I have trusted for over a decade as a consulting scientist on a number of projects that have not been in most cases unusual or controversial in any way. In fact, I've had Eric involved to vet certain technologies and certain claims, and he has proven again over the course of the last decade to be an invaluable resource and a trusted confidant when it comes to science. And I think we all are open to employing the right type of approaches and also looking at not only the literature but collaborating with others within the scientific realm in order to get to the bottom of what is really at work at Skinwalker Ranch.
Oh, that's great. Okay, so I'm going to put one question off till later. So I am particularly interested in all of the radio frequency and electromagnetic emissions that have been recorded in one way or another at Skinwalker Ranch. Have your team or others come and analyzed the actual emissions that are being captured to look for the presence of non-random or information-bearing signals?
You bet. Yeah, I think what we have seen with a number of the events that have occurred that we captured on camera involves electromagnetic anomalies and a fingerprint, if you will, that seems to follow the phenomena. Call it the exhaust that would come of it, or at least the residue. There's any number of theories that we're really addressing or exploring right now. But for example, we've seen on so many occasions when unidentified aerial phenomena occur, there are correlative events involving electromagnetic phenomena, and also you see animals reacting to what is happening in the area. You see even acute medical episodes that have unfortunately occurred in tandem with some of the events that have been witnessed and recorded on the ranch. But the RF and the other electromagnetic and I think more I don't know how to put it, but we're able to take data and track some of the signatures associated with the phenomena in order to help separate the signal from the noise. And perhaps that's one of the best ways of describing the nature of our investigation and the problem set before us. Is there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of things that, frankly, have a natural, prosaic explanation associated with them, and there are other things that occur that are truly unexplained or anomalous. And having a multidisciplinary team involved and really utilizing, scientific rigor is I think helping us separate the signal from the noise and to be able to really focus in on those events.
Right.
And frankly, the readings that have the most credibility.
Brandon, I'm going to get you to hold right there. Science Bob and Friends with our special guest, Skinwalker Ranch owner Brandon Fugal, continues on Spaced Out Radio with Hour 2 next. Good job, gentlemen. That's a good, solid first hour right there. Good, solid, manly first hour right there. All All right.
Great.
You guys.
Well, hey, it's good. We're getting warmed up here.
You guys chat away. I'm going to quickly run my dogs outside. The beautifulness of having a studio in my house. I'll be right back, guys.
You got it.
Remember, you are still live on YouTube.
No, thank you for that, Brandon. And so I know the audience probably is not aware, but it's no secret that I reached out to you and Eric before COVID-19 and my deciding to retire and move back home to Alabama. But I'm very, very interested in the analysis of the RF signals to look for evidence that they are not just a signature, but they're actually information-bearing signals. So I will reach out to you after the show and to you and Eric and do some interactions and write proposals that we can go back and forth on about things that we could do while there.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. I think you've been able to interact with Eric Bard, and I'll be curious. Feel free to offer any opinions as we enter the second hour. But I don't think there's a better person that I could have engaged than Eric Bard relative to having a not only a critical approach to some of these claims, but also someone who is open-minded and I think he's so disciplined. Eric he's thoughtful, but he's disciplined when it comes to really approaching a lot of the events at Skinwalker Ranch.
That's very good. Yeah. So I assume that when you were showing, let's do this off the air, when you were showing an interest in certain energy and or propulsion technologies, that Eric was with you trying to figure out whether or not they were real or not?
Right. Yeah, and he ultimately debunked it. He debunked so many claims that were being made. And we found no joy in that, other than the fact that that's part of discovery. That's part of science, is being able to disprove certain things and to be able to focus in on that which actually has merit.
Yeah. It's just so a lot of people do not understand that science is just not making guesses. It's also debunking and knocking down those guesses. So a skeptical, open, critical thinking mind is what is necessary to do good science. And it is very, very good to me that you have someone as open-minded to discussion, but as critical thinking as Eric. So he's your foundation.
Yeah, he really is. I trust him with my life, and more importantly, I trust him as the principal investigator out at the ranch. I know that he will never, ever compromise the integrity of what we're doing. He won't allow it. He is so steadfast in making sure that there is absolute truth involved with what we're doing.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So, how did you? I'm going to ask, but just did you discover Travis Taylor? Did history, or how did you meet each other?
Good question. History did. So, he's the only person that has been brought forward that really is not really that isn't part of my core team that has been with me for years. The History Channel, and really Prometheus, suggested that I might meet with Taylor and that he might be a good third-party physicist to bring out to the ranch to challenge the team and to help propel the investigation forward. And I was open to it. I said, I don't mind. When I looked at his credentials, I looked at his background. I actually thought it actually might be a good experience for the team to have someone new that comes in and helps propel the investigation in new directions.
I love his enthusiasm.
We got 2 minutes, gentlemen. 2 minutes.
Yeah. He's Travis. They've all become quite a team, and we have quite. We really do refer to it as the ranch family. Everyone has become kind of a family. It's a band of brothers with, I guess you've got one sister in Candace, Lindy, who is our caretaker and anthropologist on site. But with the exception of Candace, you've got really a band of brothers here that has developed a deep relationship. And they've seen some strange things together, and there's also been genuine friction. A lot of what you see depicted on the television series, I mean, that's captured raw, unfiltered, unprompted. It is not scripted. In fact, I laugh seeing kind of a lot of the Twitter feed and a lot of the comments online, because people are like, oh, it's so poorly acted. It's so poorly scripted. And I'm like, no shit, Sherlock. It's not acted. These aren't actors. There is no script. You know what? I haven't had one note of prepared comments in front of me to read off of. Everything has been completely spontaneous and has been genuine. And it is a truly unscripted effort, which makes it scary, because when you think about it, you never know. You can't conjure up the paranormal on command. You can't just sit out in the middle of a field and just through sheer force of will. At least at Skinwalker Ranch, it just doesn't appear because you want it to.
Right.
In fact, things happen when you least expect it.
Hold on, boys. Here we go. All right, music's on. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a subscribe if you don't mind on our YouTube channel. We'd appreciate that.
Spaced Out Radio.
And here we go with hour 2.
And on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. Thank you so much for tuning us in. I am your host, Dave Scott. We welcome back everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live and Revolution Radio. Remember to check out all of our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Waftage. Waftage is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Tonight, we continue with Science Bob and Friends, our monthly feature to look into the science side of everything paranormal. Our special guest tonight is the owner of Skinwalker Ranch, Brandon Fugal. Gentlemen, welcome back. Brandon, I want to ask a question that I'm getting a lot in our audience chat rooms right now, and that is, it's great that over the years we have heard the stories of Skinwalker Ranch, about entities, about cattle mutilations, about UFOs, potential alien contact, everything about it. But in the end, all we've heard is stories. There has been no real evidence that has been shown to the public about what truly is happening there. Are you almost at the point where you would release some of that footage to show the public that this is real phenomena going on?
Yeah. What are you talking about? In the first 20 minutes of episode 1, I revealed more than it has been revealed in 20 years. I showed videographic evidence. I showed video of actual unidentified aerial phenomena over the ranch, other luminous phenomena that we've experienced and we've recorded on the mesa. Also brought forward the fact that we've had very real, unexplained acute medical episodes on the property that have occurred that continue to baffle scientists and medical professionals. I don't know what people expect. I mean, they went 20 years hearing the same anecdotal stories, which are interesting and they're intriguing. And I love, many of those people I know, and I love those people that were involved with the investigation in decades past. But, I'm a little bit baffled by some of the criticism in that, if people really are paying attention, I feel like we brought forward some of the most compelling evidence in 20 minutes. I feel like I brought forward more compelling evidence and correlative phenomena than anyone else has in this area of investigation. I mean, at a time when everyone is analyzing the same whatever, 1 minute of footage or seconds of footage that is released, which is compelling, by the way, relative to what the Navy pilots experienced and whatnot. We continued week after week to present what was really cumulatively 8 hours of scientific investigation and experience on the most scientifically studied paranormal ranch or property on the planet. And so, forgive me, I don't mean to sound defensive, but I chuckle to a degree at some of the criticism, because I don't know what people are talking about when they say that we haven't brought evidence forward, or they're waiting for new evidence. I mean, I think we've done that on a level that no other program has before, and frankly, no other owner or really, I think, leader involved with this with an effort like this has really been this forthcoming or this engaged. I mean, I have, since going public in March, I have made an effort to engage on social media, on Twitter, Facebook, and I've answered, people directly and respectfully relative to, their questions, their criticisms, and concerns relative to not only the investigation at Skinwalker Ranch and our efforts, but also, offering kind of my opinion and insights as we have tried to pull together, I think, one of the most cohesive records to date of really tracking, this high strangeness that we continue to experience on the property.
Okay, that is a really great. I want to just expand upon how I, as a scientist, would view your data set. In that, I see the videos, and all of that stuff is great. It's great. You have a really good team, but the way typical science is done is the scientific observational science is done, which is clearly what's going on there, observational science, and you may or may not have formed some falsifiable hypotheses and then tried to gather data that tell you whether or not your hypothesis is true or false. What I'm suggesting that might be beneficial is if some of the data you've gathered, after you've done your own initial analysis, I mean, you got to give your team time to take a look at stuff. It might be useful if you go to a group I'm going to give you an example, a group such as the Scientific Coalition for the Study of UAP, and engage with them. And you may already be doing this, but I'm suggesting that if you engage with an institution like SCU, then you'd have all sorts of minds and eyes and ideas taking a look at your data. And it was a great thing to just let me comment on your talking earlier about your early work for building your business, because you were doing data science applied to business. So what I'm suggesting to you is that more eyes would work on the data at no cost to anyone other than putting the data up for them to look at in an entity like SCU, which is already set up to do the kind of work that would make it wide open, no restrictions and so forth on who got to work on the data so long as they were inside of SCU. Are you amenable to discussing this?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I think that, the fact that we've come forward and brought in third-party experts, literally every step of the way. As you watch the series, you see we brought in the appropriate credentialed engineering talent and other scientific collaborators in order to conduct a lot of the experiments and add additional voices and insight to what not only we're proceeding with with a lot of our experimental protocols, but also to be able to analyze the data and the results of those experiments and those activities. I mean, I think I'll speak on behalf of almost literally everyone who came in from the outside over the course of the last year to collaborate with the team. I think people, for the most part, came onto the ranch as skeptics, and especially those with scientific credentials. And I think for the most part, everyone left scratching their heads and acknowledging the fact that we are truly experiencing some anomalous activity, and we're experiencing phenomena that cannot be easily explained. But I will say this, what has been done in the past from a scientific standpoint to try to understand our world and to understand some of these claims has failed miserably. And I think a new approach to the problem set, new approaches to really analyzing the phenomena and to be able to, again, separate the signal from the noise, I think is needed in order to advance this. And so I'm bringing not only a fresh set of multidisciplinary experts and people to the table, but I'm coming at this as a non-scientist, as an entrepreneur, and someone who wants to get results. In my world, if you don't execute with precision, if you don't get results, you get fired. You're terminated. And you don't have endless years of funding. You can't just chase your tail indefinitely. You have to show results, and you have to show progress, or you're dead, at least professionally. And I'm trying to bring that same level of attention and a focus on execution and results to the ranch investigation that will hopefully, ultimately, I think, help us understand what is happening and bring forward, I think, new discoveries and insights relative to the phenomena.
Bob, are you back? Because we were having a little difficulty.
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay.
Sorry about the drop. Okay, yeah, it's Brendan, are you answering a question from Dave, or are you ready for another one?
Well, I would like to
bring it on.
I'd like to sneak in a question here, Bob, if you don't mind, in regards to the scientific side that you are doing there. A lot of your team that has been there for quite a number of years. Do you rotate new scientists in and out just to see if they get the same type of results in the experiments that are going on?
Not necessarily. I mean, I haven't owned the property for really that long a period of time yet. I think bringing Dr. Travis Taylor and Dr. Segala on site to collaborate with my principal investigator, Eric Bard, and some of the others was I think, one of my attempts to not only infuse, new perspective and a new dynamic into the investigation, but hopefully, to propel it forward. I think bringing different minds to the table and also, bringing people who don't necessarily agree or see these topics in the same way. I think it's important. I think challenging each other is important. I think, coming with a skeptical, critical eye is important. When I bought the ranch, I was very, very upfront with Mr. Bigelow about the fact that I had never seen a UFO, a ghost, an orb, or anything of the sort in my life. I was literally approaching this stewardship and my ownership of the ranch as a healthy skeptic. And I felt it was, just to be open with you, I felt that there was probably a 95% chance that there was a natural prosaic explanation for what had been claimed and witnessed on the property for decades. And I felt the most likely result of bringing my team in and introducing, a fresh perspective and frankly, investing in a new set of scientific protocols and equipment would help us get to the bottom of it and ultimately reveal that there was a natural or I think a more mundane explanation for what was being witnessed, not only on Skinwalker Ranch, but in the basin. I was very surprised to find that I was wrong, and that there is truth and reality to what has been claimed. And what we are experiencing and what we are recording on Skinwalker Ranch is absolutely real, and it's both inspiring and terrifying.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Let me ask a different question. Lots of people have watched the show and seen that there's evidence that there are things going on underground. I want to ask a question about the limits to which you're willing to go. For example, would you use the kind of thumpers that oil explorers use to try to map the subterranean layers?
Potentially. I think, we're taking right now, presently, a more aggressive approach to digging into what is happening on the ranch, both literally and figuratively. My biggest concern relative to disturbing the earth and any digging activities was really born out of the fact that we seem to experience some very negative events that were correlative to some of the activities, the digging activities on the ranch. Most notably, Thomas Winterton, my beloved superintendent's negative experience. I mean, he ended up in the emergency room, we believe, as a result of, some of his activities on the property. And that caused me to take a step back, because the health and safety of those, those involved with this effort, as part of our ranch family is something that we do not take lightly. And, the diligence and caution that you see on the television show was not staged. It was not contrived. I mean, I truly did task Dragon, or Bryant Arnold, who is my head of security, is being, really my eyes and ears to ensure that the safety of those that were participating in this investigative series and this whole effort would be, that they would be protected. And so we've tried to approach our activities on the ranch with a degree of caution because of some of what has happened. We've had a number of people in the last year that have been injured and have sustained all sorts of strange, not only injuries but illness. We believe associated with their activities on the ranch, and we're concerned. We don't take that lightly, and we're trying to improve our protocols in order to address that. But yes,
okay, long-winded answer. Yeah, let me poke at that just a little bit. So Travis Taylor had what appeared to be ionizing radiation burns when they were fiddling around one of the old structures on the place, digging around, investigating, and I'm assuming that has not been repeated. But let me dovetail that with, I think I recall you're bringing in a Native American person. And after you brought in the Native American person, following the ionizing radiation incident, did that cease?
I don't think that there was a connection between bringing the Native American expert onto the property and really, the effects or seeing some of the other things. See, there really wasn't a correlation. In fact, the phenomena is transient in nature. It's completely unpredictable. One moment we'll bring in experts that will survey the entire area and find that there is no trace evidence of anything harmful, and then literally the next day something will happen, or the dosimeters will go off, or you'll see that the tri-field meter react erratically, and really give evidence to the fact that there's something going on. But I think the fact that the phenomena on the property is transient, unpredictable, and difficult to pin down really speaks to how challenging this whole process is, and really the nature of the investigation.
Can you give us kind of even a rough estimate of the frequency with which these transient phenomena occur? Have you done any kind of measurement in your stewardship?
You mean how often? How frequent?
Yes. How frequent are they?
Oh, we'll go weeks without anything strange happening. In fact, I had been visiting the ranch for 6 months following my acquisition without personally witnessing anything unusual with my own eyes. And I just found it to be a very peaceful place, even though we had captured on both video and camera, a number of anomalies, unidentified objects over the ranch, and, a number of other strange things. I was very skeptical. I really had yet to observe anything, going, almost right around 6 months. And it wasn't until I had owned the property for over 6 months that I had my own experience with multiple witnesses with me by my side to those events that I had to take a step back and frankly, I think change my perspective a little bit and the approach, I think a bit more aggressive approach to addressing the research on the property.
Let me get in one more question before. Let me get in one more question before we go to break, because it's still it's of interest. I don't recall there being any further pursuit in studying the hidden room that was found. Or is that still being pursued?
You bet. The unfortunate aspect of the television medium is, who knows how much, and 90% or more of what is recorded, it ends up on the cutting room floor. For every hour of television that is presented, who knows how many hours that don't end up being presented, and it's an imperfect process. To answer your question, yes, we've been going back into not only trying to investigate the nature of the history of the property, but also, really some of those initial investigations relative to the sealed room in the basement, and also a lot of what has been witnessed and recorded in the past, not only in the ranch house, but also the old homesteads. The old homesteads have been really the scene of so many accounts. And we're talking multiple witness accounts and recorded events that defy natural explanation, and trying to focus our efforts on those old haunting homesteads and trying to figure out why some of the activity seems to be centered in those areas of the property. That's a key part of our investigation.
Right. Thank you so much, Brandon, for that. As we continue on with Spaced Out Radio on Science Bob and Friends here on the Mighty SOR, we're going to continue our great chat with myself, Science Bob McGwier, and the owner of the legendary Skinwalker Ranch, Brandon Fugal. We continue right after this. Good job so far, gentlemen.
Oh, that was great. It's good, Brandon. Stir up your passion and see it. It's clearly you're passionate about doing this work.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm glad. In fact, feel free, poke me, ask me any hard questions. I love it because, and again, if you've watched some of my interaction online, it's been respectful. I've been very, very respectful and measured, but I've called bullshit on a lot of the criticism, and I've basically, I've called people out in a nice, very professional, articulate way. I've tried to address a lot of the critics, and I said it on the television or on your radio show here, 30 minutes ago. People, a lot of the critics that are saying, hey, why aren't you bringing, we've heard the same stories for decades. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? The first 20 minutes of the show, I roll out video footage. I roll out photographic evidence. I roll out, MRI brain scans of my own superintendent. What the hell do people want? I mean, if I don't get it. In a world where everyone's literally losing their minds over a blurry, F-18 pilot's depiction of a Tic Tac for a few seconds, I'm like, here at Skinwalker Ranch, for whatever reason, and I don't know the reason why this is the center of gravity for so much, but I feel like we've recorded an exponentially greater amount of we've documented a greater amount of events, and it runs the whole gamut. That's the weird thing, is it seems to be like a whole season of the X-Files packed into one 512-acre piece of property, and I don't know why. I'll be the first to admit I have no idea. It could be because it sits at the literal center of the Uinta Basin, and there may be something geologically involved with the property. I mean, Travis Taylor, of course, theorized that there may be a dish, a natural or maybe an unnatural formed dish that has contributed to the way the Uinta Basin is situated and the ranch at its center. And maybe that's one of the reasons why the veil is thin here. Why we continue to see unexplained phenomena and interactions occurring that keep our head keep our heads spinning. It's quite a, again, I hope I came across articulate enough, but I wanted to point out I didn't experience anything on that property for half a year. And I came out I was flying out in my helicopter, coming out and touring the property, meeting with the team, getting full downloads on the science. And it didn't happen on command. And I felt like, my skeptical view was vindicated for months. Anyways.
That's good. That's very good.
I love the passion.
It's good to be skeptic, and
I love the passion.
Yeah, me too. I love it. I love it.
Yes. Off the air, Brandon, you can drop an F-bomb anytime you want on this show. Anytime off the air.
That is some of the loudest arguments I've ever been in. No. Some of the loudest arguments I've ever been in have been with fellow scientists.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Well, hey, if there's one thing, I mean, I'm not a scientist. I'm just again, I'm a lay person that has pulled together a team of scientists and professionals in order to investigate this. But, I have no problem calling bullshit on scientists when I feel like they are frankly, fast and loose with the truth or bringing bias to the table. And the problem is, the science community has been overrun by a bunch of dogmatic, academians that frankly are so territorial and so close-minded that they have stifled discovery in a way. I mean, boy, a lot of the basic research that really underpinned so many of the key inventions and a lot of the innovations that we saw come, 100, 200 years ago. Gosh, a lot of those guys, they wouldn't have stood a chance in today's environment at all. Anyways, don't get me started.
All right, gentlemen, we have 20 seconds left before we got to go. And a quick reminder that when we go back on the air, we just cannot, the FCC doesn't like those F-bombs, I will just say. But on the YouTube side, absolutely. Let it fly during the breaks. I don't mind.
Well, I've been good.
You've been awesome.
Yeah, I'm trying to work on it.
Trust me, it's hard. It's hard for me. I come from a hockey background. Anything without the word F in the sentence just doesn't really make sense. All right, here we go, gentlemen. Music's on. Yeah. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to sit with us and entertain the likes of your listening ears. I want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. On Instagram, follow us at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. We continue with a fantastic interview tonight with Brandon Fugal, the owner of Skinwalker Ranch, here on Science Bob and Friends. My cohort and the brilliant and talented Science Bob McGwier is helping us host this tonight. Bob, take it away.
Okay, so when animals have been attacked on the ranch, I'm sure that caused a lot of controversy when the llamas got attacked. But let's ask some science questions rather than just talk about the attack, which was, I'm sure, horrifying to you and everybody else there. Were there analysis of the wounds for DNA, hair samples? What kind of forensics were done on the wounds?
Good question. I mean, the attack on the alpacas, which was completely unexpected. I mean, Candace, Lindy, and Tom Lewis, our caretakers, were actually insistent on bringing the alpacas on the property and really caring for them and creating an environment that was safe. I mean, that's why they were situated in the corral closest to the ranch house. I mean, literally steps from the ranch house. And they immediately fell in love with these animals, gave them names. Really everyone had not only the best of intention, but did not believe that they would come into harm's way, even though we've had some strange events occur and some that have been disturbing. No one anticipated what ended up unfolding. And in short, without getting into I'm not convinced that the attack on the alpacas was necessarily anything paranormal. I think the circumstances around the attack were a little bit intriguing and disturbing, but we were just once it was very apparent that there was an issue. I think getting them off of the ranch and out of harm's way was of greatest concern. And the cows, the livestock. I mean, we've been running cows on the property with partners over the course of the last 4.5 years. I mean, this is an agricultural property. This is a working ranch. And in order to keep the grass down and to frankly avoid the place becoming a fire hazard, I mean, it's not only responsible, but it's absolutely necessary to maintain those type of activities on the property. And there hadn't been any cattle mutilations reported for many, many, many years. And again, I'm a skeptic. I approached the stewardship of the property from more of a skeptical point of view, and didn't really necessarily believe that we would encounter anything of that nature. The incident with the cow that was shown at the end of the season, season 1 of our investigative series, was shocking to us. And I think most shocking was not just the death of the cow that seemed very unusual, especially when hearing the veterinarian, the veterinarian's opinion on it, but also all of the other events that were occurring surrounding that event. It's one thing to have a cow die on a ranch, but it's another thing to have a cow die, have all of the equipment, the tri-field meters going crazy, multiple smartphones malfunctioning. And by the way, both an iPhone and a Samsung phone that are, completely malfunctioning simultaneous with the discovery of this cow, that remains really disturbing and unexplained. But then upon pulling up the camera surveillance to see an object that was moving at arguably over 1,000 miles an hour above the tree line, above the cow when it was taking its last breaths, very, very disturbing and very interesting. Add to that the fact that the cow, which was drug out to the corner of the property to decompose and to be laid to rest, has yet to be touched by any scavenger.
Really?
Explain that. After over a year, that cow has yet to be touched by any scavenger. We've had other animals die on that property, end up, carcasses or whatever, whether it be, birds or whatever it's a big silver 500-acre piece of property. It's a ranch. Animals, come and go and die. And, to see this cow and this carcass remain completely untouched and intact after over a year and some pretty brutal seasons, some weather. I mean, we're talking below zero temperatures on up to over 100-degree temperatures and, quite a diverse landscape and environment. It defies explanation, gentlemen.
It does. Let me go back to just one piece. Were there any forensics done on the alpacas at all?
No, we had the doctor come out, the veterinarian that actually analyzed, dressed the wounds, treated the animal. I think he felt like it was predator activity. He didn't think that there was anything necessarily unusual or extraordinarily disturbing, other than the fact that we were all quite shaken by the attack and by the events. But no, the event with the cow, was a completely different matter and class of event, in my opinion.
Really strange, Dave.
Yeah, I'm just kind of looking at it because I live in a ranching area where I am. So the fact that you put alpacas out there, and I learned this when I moved up here, that in order to keep predatory animals away from horses and cattle, normally up here, the ranchers will use bulls, giant, very big, large bulls. They will use donkeys, they will use llamas and alpacas in order to do that. Now, on a one-on-one scale, an alpaca or a llama can take care of a cougar or even a black bear, not a problem. But if you have a pack of coyotes or you have a pack of wolves in there and it's like 7 against 1 or 10 against 1, the chances of the alpaca actually protecting the herd or the donkey or the llama is going to be very, very difficult for that singular animal to do. So a lot of animal rights people and people who love animals are sitting there saying, well, why did you do this, and criticizing you about that. But is it a matter of, that's what happens on ranches and farmyards to protect the livestock while they're out grazing?
Yeah, that's unfortunately pretty typical. I mean, especially when you're in a remote area out there. It's impossible to predict what may happen, and frankly, you're going to have things happen. I mean, we have all sorts of wildlife on the property. I mean, we've seen mountain lions captured on camera in our surveillance footage. All sorts of predatory animals that make the ranch their home, and I think we have to respect that. We have to respect the property. Do we want to put any animal in harm's way? Absolutely not. And I was actually pretty offended and hurt that people would think that we would purposely do so, especially after our caretakers so lovingly brought the animals on the property and really had the best of intentions relative to caring for them. So it was unfortunate, and you learn from the past. We're trying to do a better job and be more aware. And frankly, I think being more sensitive to the concerns that have been brought up is something that I think is important. We respect all points of view, and I want to let people know that this is a learning process for all of us. I mean, this is evolutionary. We don't have all the answers. We don't presume to have the answers. We're just simply trying to carry this research forward and do it in the best way we know how. And along the way, we're going to stub our toes, and we're going to learn some things the hard way. It's life. No one's perfect, and there is no perfect experiment. Just like there's no perfect circumstance. And here on the ranch, there are so many crazy, diverse anomalies that occur that are unpredictable. It just adds that much more complication to what is already, I think, a challenging, challenging scenario.
Okay, let me dive into a particular area of interest to me. And Dave and I are both followers of SkyHub, and I'm a member, contributor, and advisor. And Steve McDaniel is the technical leader of SkyHub, and we did an interview with Steve here in last month's show. And SkyHub, to me personally, would seem to be a natural instrument to go to a place like Skinwalker Ranch, in that it is on 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, always vigilant, and it's using really modern technology in that it's got artificial intelligence finding signatures and triggering on those signatures and recording anomalous events through all sorts of sensors. And I'm just wondering if you and the team are amenable to discussing an activity like SkyHub being positioned in and around the ranch.
Sure. As long as it doesn't, as long as it meets certain standards, and it's an open platform, and that we can all benefit from the data and work together to hopefully. Hopefully analyze the data and the findings that come of that effort. So I think we're open to that. Speaking on behalf of Eric Bard, who is really our principal investigator out on the property, and he's on constant vigil. I mean, the guy doesn't sleep. I've seen Eric go for 48 to 72 hour stints, monitoring everything going on the property. He's remarkable, and to have him joined by the likes of Dr. Taylor and also Thomas Winterton and Dragon and the others that are there just simply as partners in discovery is great. So I think we would welcome that. I think introducing outside involvement and another platform or a diversity of platforms that
Oh, we seem to have lost Brandon there for a second. We'll try and get him right back here on Space Out Radio. Bob, just hold on 2 seconds here, if you don't mind. And maybe we just lost Skype. Hold on.
No, I'm still on.
Oh, are you? Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll try and get Brandon here. There he is.
Hey,
Brandon.
You hear me?
We got you now.
Did I lose you? Where did I lose you?
You were talking about the introduction of a new element into the scientific observation.
So it just dropped after a few seconds. Gosh,
yeah.
These bloody cell phones. You'd think that we'd have a more reliable communications infrastructure. Anyways, I think I got my point across. We would welcome the opportunity to bring additional scientific instrumentation and monitoring equipment to the property in service to understanding the nature of the phenomena and getting to the bottom of the truth.
Okay, one thing I just wanted to add, and I'm happy to hear you say what you said. And the reason I'm happy to hear it is from its very first day, SkyHub's job was open source, open specification, data collected openly in the cloud and available to any and all for scientific work. And given that that's kind of your opening remark, so that you could use it and SCU could use it and any other scientist that wanted to work on it could use it, I think that's a terrific thing, and that is a very welcome thing. And I'm sure that SkyHub scientists and engineers and so forth, and including me, we'll be talking with you and Eric about what we can do that won't be in the way. So let me ask another technical question before I turn it over to Dave. Are you aware of TV or FM transmitters in, say, the 30 to 40 mile radius around Skinwalker Ranch?
The team has performed a full audit of everything within the surrounding area. I mean, I don't know that I can speak specifically to everything that has been cataloged, other than the fact that I know, Eric and the team has been very diligent in trying to identify those things within the basin that would potentially interfere or create false positives, if you will.
Okay, but that's not where I'm going. I'm absolutely convinced. I'm absolutely convinced that they've done that. The reason I ask is there's a bunch of unique technology coming available at very, very low prices that use large emitters as the active, like TV and FM transmitters, as the active emitters in an otherwise passive radar system. So if you had a large transmitter nearby, a collection of 4 antennas and a small computer hooked to these 4 antennas could actually have a passive radar working at the ranch. So the reason for saying that is if an object appears over the ranch and it's, say, metallic, it would have a cross-section for radio signals, and we might see a reflection and even track it, and maybe even detect it when it's being cloaked in some way. So that was the reason for my question, and I will discuss that. I will discuss that with the team to see if something like that could be done. Have you had radar on the site before?
Well, we have several avionics receivers. We've been actively tracking for years all of the air traffic, commercial, private air traffic coming in and out of the area in the basin and surrounding locales. But and I know Dr. Taylor specifically has been working with Eric on an expanded platform associated with really monitoring everything, within the airspace. And again, it's all in service to being able to separate the signal from the noise, to be able to separate that which, is conventional from the unconventional, and being able to focus in on those events that actually, I think, merit, greater focus and consideration.
Oh, that sounds, that'd be very good. Yeah, the systems you're talking about are ADS-B and UAT. I'm sure you've heard those terms, and they are valuable for calling out things you aren't really interested in. That's really good news. Dave?
Yeah, Brandon, we've got about 3.5, 4 minutes here before we have to go to break at the top of the hour here. In regards to the experimentation that is going on at Skinwalker Ranch, is a lot of that experiments trying to find answers to some of the predominant questions that we have in the field of the paranormal? Example, life after death. Are there portals? Are there different dimensions? Where are these UFOs coming from? Is that part of the focus of the research that is there?
Not as of yet. I think, the first several years of research really involved more observational science and observational, scientific efforts. With the introduction of Dr. Taylor, and also Dr. Segala into the team dynamic with Eric and Tom and Jim and Bryant, we've seen a more aggressive set of experiments and research protocols in service to, as Travis says often, poking the hornet's nest. If you watch the show, there's kind of a spirited interaction between Dragon, my head of security, and Dr. Taylor. Dr. Taylor has really been pushing for, I think a move beyond observational science to really engaging the phenomena, I think, on a more aggressive level. And that has involved everything from, the weather balloon experiments to the rocketry, to bringing in, ground penetrating radar and resistivity studies, and, a whole host of experiments and efforts that would hopefully, and I think has yielded some results, and at least, I think, underscored the fact that we're dealing with very real, unexplained phenomena. When you have literally every third-party expert that comes to the ranch, these are credentialed, degreed professionals that come in from outside of Utah, in most cases, and you have almost every one of them to a man that leaves the ranch scratching their head saying, "I've never experienced this before." In all of my years of either, balloon experiments, rocketry experiments, ground penetrating radar, yada, 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 in all of my years, I've never seen anything quite like this, and have not experienced, these type of anomalies. That has to give, hopefully, the audience and those that are following our journey reason to step back and pause and take this seriously. Mm-hmm. This is not contrived. This is not fabricated. This is real, and we're presenting it unscripted. There are no actors. We're simply trying to show our journey in real time and let the viewer decide, along with our team, what to make of it.
Oh, that's really great. Yeah, it's good to hear that other scientists are coming. So let's go down that rabbit hole just for a bit. I'm sure that there are all sorts of liability concerns and so forth. Is there kind of a standard process to go through your principal investigator and your legal department to get there?
Brandon, I'm going to get you to answer that question when we come back from break here, because we literally have about 2 seconds left before the commercials are going to sign on in here. Gentlemen, just sit tight. We have Skinwalker Ranch owner Brandon Fugal. We have Science Bob McGwier. We continue with the Skinwalker Ranch talk, heading into hour 3 of Spaced Out Radio in a show that's just flying on by tonight. We'll be back. Sorry, Bob.
Oh, I'm sorry I missed the clock, Dave. I got so enthused to get that question in.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, so hit the pause button on. Ask that question again when we sign back on here, and I think it's an important question, and I actually would love to address it.
Sure.
And
I'll be right back.
I think you'll be pleased with what I have.
You guys talk away. Remember, we're live on YouTube.
No, it'll be great. I'll address it first thing when we come back.
We're live on YouTube right now. So
yes, we are. Yeah,
everyone's hearing this. Oh, good. Well, it's a good thing. I'm trying to. Well, gosh, shoot. Have I used any profanity? Hopefully not.
You've dropped the F-bomb, and the S-bomb a couple of times. But look, that's normal. That's normal for YouTube. We all have.
Oh, well, sorry, Mom. Sorry, Dad. Anyways, I need to work on that. I apologize. I'm trying to rein in my language a little bit. I often blame the experience of my youth working out on construction crews digging ditches, and I think that gives me a little bit of a pass, perhaps. But I say that jokingly, but it's something, gosh, it's such a struggle. And plus it doesn't help that I'm a 17-year-old stuck in a 47-year-old body.
So you're aware, I grew up in Southwest Alabama. And one of my first jobs was working on Alabama Highway Department crew, building culverts and things like that under highways. And I heard some colorful language.
Yeah, well, I got to work on it. My apologies. I need to be a better example. But no, hopefully we are addressing those topics that I think people are most interested in, and hopefully shedding a little bit of light on kind of the motivations and the nature of Skinwalker Ranch's,
This is a very typical interview for the science programs that have gone on Spaced Out Radio for the time I've been listening and now participating, in that they are free-flowing conversations. And I've attempted to inject, as has Dave, questions that others have given me, or I've come up with myself, and I will give credit to those when we're on the air, people who gave me questions for asking you, and some of them were terrific. I mean, you've already addressed some of them. So and thank you for addressing openly and transparently some of the controversies. They need to be covered so we can get them out of the way, because I was certain in my own mind that those controversies were something you had agonized over personally, like the alpacas or whatever, the people working there. Given your background, I was just certain you had agonized over, and thank you for addressing them openly.
Yeah, cool. I'm just trying to be as transparent and open with what we have been experiencing and how we have been approaching these topics, and hope that our journey inspires not only I think a higher level of hopefully respect for the topics, but also I'm hoping that it will trigger people to seriously investigate the reality of these things.
Yep. Yes, the topic and the subject, given the years you've put into this, is too huge to be addressed quickly, and even as lengthy an interview as this. But I think we're covering the broad brushstrokes of the science and the personalities and other experiences that have happened there, that especially if we address kind of the questions I have coming up about becoming involved and not being currently a member, and how you go through a vetting process. Let's address all of that.
Great. I look forward to kind of discussing the process that we have really put in place in order to bring people onto the ranch, to introduce them to the property, and really some of the protocols that we've had to make mandatory in order to protect, the scientific integrity of the property, and also all of us that are involved. Mm-hmm. It's a dangerous place. I can't stress that enough. I mean, strange things happen, and also disturbing things seem to happen in this area, and they have yet to be explained. We have yet to determine the origin or agenda associated with the phenomena. My greatest goal in all of this is to hopefully, gain new insight into that. What is the origin and the agenda associated with the interactions with the phenomena that we are experiencing?
All right, guys, we got 15 seconds here.
They certainly speak to some amazing physics.
Hey, quick question here, Brandon. If you're feeling up to it, I can skip the news the last half hour. If you feel that 30 minutes is enough, we can end it in 30 minutes here.
No, bring it on.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right.
Let's do it.
Here we go, guys.
All your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
I'm just getting warmed up.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us tonight and being a really, really awesome crowd. Thank you for everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live and Revolution Radio. Remember, you can check out all of our archives for free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Waftage. Waftage is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We are continuing in hour number 3 of Skinwalker Ranch here on Science Bob and Friends. Brandon Fugal, owner of Skinwalker Ranch, is our special guest tonight with scientist Bob McGwier. Gentlemen, welcome back to the show.
Glad to be here, Dave.
Good to be with you.
And the good news is, the good news is we are going to go the distance here tonight. We are going to forego the news tonight. I'm sorry, Captain Shirk. Don't take a frying pan to my head, but that's okay. We're going to forego it, and we are going to continue with Brandon right to the top of the hour. Bob, go right ahead.
Okay, and I apologize to the audience for asking a very relevant question too close to break. So rather than skip it, we're going to jump right back into it. Brandon, we were addressing the protocols, the questions of dealing with liability and other things for people to come on and do work on the ranch. Kind of go over your policy and processes for gaining acquisition to the ranch.
Yeah, good question. Excellent question. We have required since day one confidentiality agreements and liability waivers be signed. The confidentiality agreements have been necessary because we frankly have not wanted to have material disseminated without it being properly vetted or really reviewed by the team. We didn't want any premature claims being made or disclosure, and frankly, we don't want anything to compromise the integrity of our investigation. Liability is something that we are also concerned about, especially given the history of the property. Anyone who comes on the property has to acknowledge that bad things happen on this property. There is a history of not only strange activity, but also, people being injured, having mysterious, unexplained illness. It's just part of the risk associated with really, I think, being involved with the property. And so we make full disclosure of that, and we require acknowledgement and execution of agreements in order to, again, protect the integrity of the investigation and I think the future investigative efforts that we have ongoing. So we've had that in place over the years, and it's something that we've continued. Even the vendors and the production team involved with the series, The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, have had to sign liability waivers and confidentiality agreements in order to, again, I think have the proper disclosures and precautions put into place.
That sounds great, Dave.
Yeah, in regards to how you have things set up there, and you talk about the NDAs that you have, if you're talking about being very public and open with what is happening with Skinwalker Ranch, what is the purpose of the NDAs?
Oh, that's a really good question. We don't want information going out being distributed without actually being reviewed by the team for not only accuracy, but also to ensure that there isn't anything that would be unprofessional. I mean that wouldn't fit within, I think, the quality or the standard that we are trying to set with our investigation. It's not about keeping things secret or being territorial. It's about protecting the integrity of the investigation and, frankly, the participants. I mean, we have scientists involved who have placed their reputations on the line, that have taken great risk in coming onto the property and engaging with the team. And, our team members, from our superintendent, Thomas Winterton, to Jim Morse, to, our security detail. I mean, all of these individuals are sacrificing a lot in order to, I think, be involved with the effort and have really, I think, engaged on a level that most people wouldn't. And I think, out of respect for them, we've wanted to make sure that nothing is disseminated prematurely or unprofessionally in a way that would undermine what we're doing. And I hope that makes sense to everyone. I mean, we had one individual in particular that had signed a confidentiality agreement, an NDA, I don't know, sometime in the past, and ended up breaching that, ended up, not only violating our trust, but going out and making all sorts of false claims and statements that were really not only unkind and unprofessional, but highly inappropriate. And it's unfortunate when one bad actor or one person can really spoil the effort for everyone else involved. I mean, there's a number of old sayings: you're only as strong as your weakest link, and one bad apple ruins the whole bunch, yada yada yada. But I think making sure that we are maintaining a level of professionalism, integrity, and discretion with the way that we are approaching these very serious topics is important.
You've also talked a lot about safety with the staff there, with the crew there. You say there have been incidents there. How safe or how dangerous is the ranch, and what makes it dangerous?
Well, when you have quite a number of participants that end up in the hospital in the last year alone, relative to mysterious illness or injuries, it gives one pause, and it really calls for a more vigilant approach to health and safety, and that's something that we are trying to really, I think, keep in mind and improve with every step moving forward. I mean, again, I mentioned earlier, this is a learning process for all of us.
Right.
And, you learn through trial and error. And, we're trying to learn from the past and to hopefully improve our protocols and that which we try to do in order to protect those who are, being involved with the effort and potentially putting themselves in harm's way.
Are those injuries being caused by the phenomena that's there, or just the dangers and rigors of working on a ranch?
Choice A.
Can you go deeper?
It's not. Yeah, it's the injuries, the illnesses. We believe, based on the the review by medical professionals, are very unusual and unexplained.
I guess that's as far as you can take it, because you can't risk giving up, the security of everything.
Well, that is private information of the individuals involved.
True.
Yeah. We do try to protect the privacy of those involved, and there have been exceptions where, not that we've taken exception, but where individuals like Thomas Winterton have elected and approved, disclosure of kind of the nature of what they experienced and what they went through. And in those cases, we've been very forthright and very public in really presenting what has happened.
Interesting.
Okay, let me,
Bob.
Go ahead, Dave. Well, yeah, I was going to jump to a science, but if you want to finish the thought, go ahead.
No, I'm good. I got what I needed. Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, great. So, yes, my enthusiasm for asking science questions is obvious. So, Travis Taylor and others mentioned, of course, and I'm sure 95% of the interactions were on the cutting room floor, about the unusual geological structures that are in and around the Uinta Basin. And so this, of course, begs the question for someone interested in the science. And I looked around at maps and other work that had been done in and around there, and it does seem that the geology of the Uinta Basin just doesn't quite fit. So what can you tell us about the interaction with real
Good question. Our principal investigator, Eric Bard, when first, setting the stage for the observational science effort, thought that a likely explanation for a lot of what was being observed was the geology, the unique geology, the area, seismic activity, phenomena, such as earthquake lights and other luminous activity that has a more natural, prosaic explanation could be behind this. And those were some of the things that we explored in those first months or years associated with our research at Skinwalker Ranch. What was surprising was the fact that our seismic equipment and sensors out on the property, coupled with collaborating with others at the university, yielded insight that showed that the ranch has experienced very little seismic activity. In fact, there has been absolutely zero seismic activity occurring on or around the ranch in connection with any of the strange phenomena that has been witnessed, which is to a degree, it has ruled out some of the more geological explanations as being valid. So very interesting. I mean, the Uinta Basin is truly a basin. It's like a dish that has been formed, and the Skinwalker Ranch is, perhaps coincidentally, perhaps not, right at the center, the epicenter of the Uinta Basin. And there may be something to its location, and maybe that has allowed certain things to occur. I mean, maybe the veil is thinner there as a result. Maybe there are wormholes or portals to other dimensions that are possible due to the unique geology and the orientation of the ranch at the center of this very unique basin. Those are things that we continue to study and delve into, and I think you'll see addressed in this next season and in future episodes, hopefully as we continue to reveal what we're finding to the public.
Oh, that's great. Okay, so let's go along a little different line. As I talked to you earlier, I'm sure that you have engaged not just once, as seen in the show, but multiple times over the years with the peoples living in the area, including Native Americans. What can you tell us you've learned from the people living around Skinwalker Ranch?
One thing we've learned is it isn't confined to the ranch. Even though the ranch seems to be a center of gravity and there is a higher frequency of events for whatever reason associated with this, roughly 500-acre piece of property, the phenomena and a lot of the high strangeness actually carries over into other portions of the basin. And even, we have a sister ranch that is almost next door that is within close proximity that has reported a lot of the same type of strange phenomena for decades. In fact, there are numerous witness accounts of activity that has been ongoing for a very, very long time. One thing that surprised me with our research, and I have to credit Jim Morse, who is kind of our community liaison, who has a special relationship with the tribal leaders and the community. Jim has been able to help us, along with our anthropologist Candace Lindy, to carefully document accounts that go back nearly 100 years relative to the property and the surrounding neighboring properties, and really attest to the fact that everything from strange cattle mutilations to UFO sightings to some of the more disturbing spiritual phenomena, it has not just been occurring since 1994 when the Sherman family acquired the property from the previous owners. It goes back a very long time. In fact, I have marveled at the number of credible firsthand witness accounts that have come forward and provided very credible testimony regarding high strangeness, very disturbing events that have occurred on this property. I mean, we're talking former law enforcement, very credible business people that have had experiences going back decades, most of which are random, unexpected, before the ranch really captured the attention of the public and its notoriety.
That's great. So Dave?
Yeah, Brandon, I've had a lot of people in the chat room ask tonight about whether or not you have tested the ley lines in the area to see if they have any effect on what is happening with the phenomena there.
That's in process from what I understand right now. So the team is actually addressing that as part of the current phase of the investigation. And I don't know that anything is ready to be reported as of yet, but I think you can expect to see special attention paid to some of those topics.
Interesting. And the other part is getting back to the whole phenomena aspect, because Bob brings the science, I bring the woo here. I mean, that's literally how this works. But with the name Skinwalker Ranch, have there been encounters with actual skinwalkers at Skinwalker Ranch?
Good question. I think the most notable encounter involved my caretaker, ranch manager, Jim Morse. Jim, who was patrolling the property one night with our security detail, happened upon, what can only be described as kind of a skinwalker type of entity that actually stared at him. Was actually right up on the face of the mesa and ended up not only staring at him with these glowing eyes, but according to Jim Morse, turned around and ended up disappearing into the mesa itself. And he was very shaken by the event. I remember when he reported his encounter to me, he was very disturbed. And I'd never heard him in the almost 30 years of interaction with Jim. I'd never heard him really speak of, anything like this happening to him in his life or really entertaining it. And I think this has challenged his view of reality. I mean, when I first inspected the property, I flew out in my helicopter with Jim, as is someone that I valued as a confidant and friend. And he was surprisingly unfamiliar with the history and the lore, and was intrigued, but wasn't really front loaded with any information, and saw it with virgin eyes, if you will, right along with me. And I think he shared the same healthy skepticism that I did relative to a lot of the core claims and the history relative to the property. And so to hear his firsthand account, which he had witness with him that saw the same thing, it causes me to at least take a step back and give some credibility to the accounts given by the Native Americans in the area. I mean, this is a very real part of their history, part of their culture, and to have the tribal leaders instructing, their people and especially their youth to stay away from this property, and in many cases don't even, they tell them don't even look toward Skinwalker Ranch, because it could end up following them, and they could be visited by this disturbing entity. But it's Skinwalker Ridge, which really runs the expanse of the mesa, which is part of the curse supposedly that was placed on the property. And part of that history is something very real to those in the Uinta Basin, and something that we have to take seriously.
Right. Brandon, thank you so much. As we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour, Science Bob and Friends normally would end at this time, but because this is a special show, I know Science Bob is having fun. I know Mr. Brandon Fugal is having fun talking Skinwalker Ranch with all of you out there. So we're going to continue. We're going to skip the news, skip the thought of the day, continue with Brandon Fugal, owner of Skinwalker Ranch, and Science Bob McGwier on Science Bob and Friends here on Spaced Out Radio next. Okay, Brandon, we have two major questions for our YouTube chat here, and we ask every guest this. So just because you're the owner of Skinwalker Ranch doesn't mean you get away from these questions. Number one.
Bring it on.
Number one, what is your opinion of eating breakfast food for dinner?
I freaking love it.
Unbelievable.
I actually think I think if you don't enjoy breakfast food for dinner on occasion, then you need to probably reevaluate your priorities in life.
Wow, that's a direct shot at me right there. Direct shot at me right over there.
Absolutely.
You know,
but I'm on Brandon's team.
Just because you have a nice tie collection, you know, it doesn't mean that you got to insult us who don't eat breakfast for dinner. Son of a gun. Son of a gun.
Hey, pancakes and scrambled eggs, or even, my favorite is to have Captain Crunch. There's a new cereal limited out right now, Cotton Candy Captain Crunch, and I think it's an essential part of a balanced diet.
Son of a gun. All right.
Oh my goodness.
Well, the respect level dropped 1% on that, so now you're at 99% respectful there. Here's question number 2 that we ask every guest. Going back to Close Encounters of the Third Kind, when it comes to Devil's Tower in Wyoming, are you on Team Stump or are you on Team Rock?
Gosh, what the hell does that question mean? You've got to give me a little bit of.
It looks like a stump.
Looks like a giant tree stump.
Oh. Yeah. I'll say Team Stump.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
The three of us are Team Stump.
Another one. Yes, that's beautiful. Beautiful. Well, we'll forgive the breakfast for dinner thing now because we got you on Team Stump. All right.
Bring on more hard questions. I love it.
Well, those are the only two. I don't know why, but the audience makes me ask every new guest those two questions. Every new one.
Cool.
They're all cheering for you.
Well, they're pretty serious questions. I don't know. I'm shaken.
I know. It's the way we do things. That's hardcore journalism right there, my friend. Hardcore journalism.
Oh my gosh. I had no idea earlier. I think it was pretty evident about an hour and a half ago when I thought we went on break and I spoke a little freely about all the critics and the people. I didn't know that we were still live on YouTube, so I'm being a little bit more measured with what I say here.
Yeah, well, I did tell you though. A few times.
I know you did. I just that's part of the hazards of drinking too much Diet Mountain Dew at this time of night. While we've been on this program alone, I think I've consumed about at least 60 to 70 ounces of Diet Mountain Dew since we commenced.
Well, let me say this.
Interview.
You know what? I will say this in defense of what you were acting. You were acting like a human being who is passionate about what you go through on a daily basis living. I mean, let's face it, this has brought controversy that you probably never expected in your life. And I have absolutely no problem with you actually being human like that towards our audience. And I think, in my opinion, it gained a lot of respect for you being able to treat your critics and those who have talked ill of you in the situation regarding Skinwalker Ranch. I think it showed a little bit of fire and zest, and the old hockey player in me thinks that was absolutely wonderful. So I wouldn't fret it if I were you.
Nah, no way.
I'll try to be a little bit more careful when I speak to some of the critics, because I understand how people can be very skeptical of a lot of the claims that are being made. I mean, these are very extraordinary claims, to put it mildly, that are being made. What I don't understand is, after decades of people basically receiving nothing but table scraps from people, the so-called experts in the field of ufology, as they call it. We basically present a buffet, a huge meal to everyone, and they dismiss it, or they criticize it. And I'm like, what? You guys have been starving in the desert listening to the same blowhards for how many decades and getting nothing? And I show you hard evidence that this is real. We show you current video.
I hear you.
This is real. We show you real people, multiple credible witnesses that have recently experienced these things, and all of the correlative events, and yet people are dismissive, or they criticize, or they say that it's not enough. I'm like,
hold that thought right there, because we're going to come back right now. We've rounded third. We're heading for home on Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate it. Now, if you've missed most of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. For the final time tonight, we introduce Science Bob McGwier. As every month, we bring in Science Bob to break down the scientific side of the paranormal. And our special guest tonight, the owner of the Skinwalker Ranch, Brandon Fugal. Welcome, gentlemen, back to Spaced Out Radio.
Happy to be here, Dave.
Awesome.
Welcome.
Awesome.
Hey, it's good to join you.
Let me jump into a question I'm sure many people have asked you, and let's just belabor it a little bit longer. Can you tell us if NIDS, Bigelow, any entity of the government or corporation discussed with you previous work done on Skinwalker Ranch prior to your acquiring it?
Good question. I had some discussion with Mr. Bigelow, with Colm Kelleher, and others. Nothing really, I would say, in depth. I wasn't really provided any documentation. In fact, my acquisition of the property was to be on an as-is basis, and I respected that. I respected that. That Mr. Bigelow, wanted to keep a lot of their findings and that documentation really confidential and keep it close to the vest. And frankly, in opening a new chapter and wanting to have really a fresh start and new perspective potentially regarding the ranch, I felt that we were okay with that. I was equal to the task of really engaging with a clean slate. We've had great relationships with members of the former NIDS and BASS program teams, and I have great respect for them. Great respect for those who've served on the property in the past and have been very open and collaborative with anyone who was willing to engage. I feel like, the best way for us to get to the bottom of the truth and to truly understand what is happening at Skinwalker Ranch is to really, bring in a multidisciplinary team experts, but also I think look to the history and to those who've had experiences in the past, and really drawing from that data set and that wealth of knowledge in order to, I think, help shape a lot of the experimental protocols and the research as we move forward.
Okay, thank you very much. I just knew that had to be addressed because some people are going to ask it. We might as well address it and get it out of the way. So I thought your statement about the first half hour of episode 1 of the show was kind of right on the money, to the point that I want to ask as much as I can about the glowing craft that flew along Skinwalker Ridge up on the mesa. I think the story goes it interacted with a body of water nearby, flew over the ridge, and went off over the horizon. What can you tell us about that? And have there been any repeat incidents of that type?
As far as flying over a body of water, and the incident that you are relating, I'm not sure exactly which incident you're referring to exactly. I know we have had numerous incidents and accounts of UFO activity over the property that have been witnessed not only by myself but members of the team that continue to defy explanation. Some of that was captured on camera, this past year, and presented on the television show. But it appears without really any warning, and as quickly as it appears, it can disappear. And I mentioned this earlier on the program. The phenomena it's transient in nature. It's completely unpredictable, which is quite vexing to those involved. Everything from the RF anomalies, the electromagnetic anomalies that take place to the visual sightings. I mean, when you least expect it to occur, it happens to occur. So you can never be really fully prepared.
Okay, let me ask the following question then. When you have visual anomalies like UFOs or glowing objects, are they always or mostly accompanied by these RF and electromagnetic phenomena?
Mostly.
Okay.
When we see unidentified aerial phenomena take place, in most cases it seems to be accompanied by electromagnetic anomalies, and we also see preceding and following events, smartphones malfunctioning, rapid battery depletion. I mean, we have so many different types of batteries that end up being completely drained. I mean, you saw that truthfully depicted and shown real time in the investigative series on the History Channel. I mean, that was not contrived. That was not fabricated. Every time people would come out, whether they're running a $30,000 drone platform or ground penetrating radar or whatever, time after time they were experiencing unexplained battery depletion or other equipment malfunction that frankly surprised them and defied explanation.
All right, Brendan, I have a couple questions coming from our audience in our chat rooms here, and we're going to start off with Andrew, who's listening over this morning in the United Kingdom, and he is asking point blank, is there any truth to the rumor that the Vatican has been involved with anything to do with Skinwalker Ranch?
No, not that I'm aware of. Not under my watch. I'm not aware of that. Good question.
All right. And Chris is asking if you had any prior knowledge about Bob Bigelow's program with the DIA involving OSAP.
No, not really. I wasn't given any of that documentation or really a briefing on a lot of that material and those events before acquiring the ranch. A lot of my knowledge was limited to that which was already published in the public domain, frankly, and some of what was gleaned from discussion with Dr. Kelleher and a few others. But we really tried to embark on this phase of the investigation and this new era with a new set of eyes and with a clean slate.
Considering that you have a few players who turned over from Mr. Bigelow when he owned the Skinwalker Ranch, and they are now on your team, some of them even at times been a part of the To the Stars Academy, does Skinwalker Ranch have a role in today's ufology as we seem to be getting and edging closer and closer to some sort of formal disclosure about the UFO phenomena?
Sure. To the degree that it continues to be a center of gravity for unidentified aerial phenomena that has been both documented and witnessed. And we've been able to also document, other events that seem to attend the UFO activity for whatever reason. So I think that it's, I guess it's all a matter of opinion, but I would, for some reason, this place seems to be a center of gravity for this type of unusual activity.
Mm-hmm. Now, does that include the rumors that we have heard about portals opening up and craft actually coming out of them?
You bet. You bet. There are numerous witness accounts of that occurring, and what we have visually seen on the property, even in broad daylight, speaks to the fact that either the craft or the objects viewed and recorded are either using a propulsion system or manipulating time and space in such a way as to come and go at split second speeds and velocities, or they're gaining entrance and access to the ranch via portals or wormholes that would allow that type of transit to occur.
All right, and
some of the most interesting things I'm sorry.
No,
go ahead, Dave.
No, you go ahead. I'm good.
Okay, so some of the most interesting things we saw in the series were when your Travis and your team did some experiments that seemed to pretty much triangulate a source of lots of emissions at a particular point, and you flew rocket balloons and other things.
Bob, your Skype.
Do those
Bob, your Skype was breaking up quite a bit there.
Okay, do you hear me okay now?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, go ahead and repeat that.
Okay, yeah. Sorry about that. So Travis and your other team ran a lot of experiments with rockets, balloons, etc., and do those to triangulate the source, the location of kind of a strong point for some of the phenomenon over the ranch. Does that continue? That's number one. And have you ever found the balloon that went missing?
Good question. First and foremost, the experiments are continuing. They are ongoing. In fact, we are trying to improve the equipment being utilized and our approach to those experiments and others that are complementary. Regarding the balloon experiment and the particular weather balloon that had all of the instrumentation that disappeared. In fact, it disappeared right when there were strange, what I believe to be strange or anomalous, frequencies, RF it was being reported at that height above the ranch. We have never recovered that balloon. We don't know where it went. It literally disappeared. And the professor who came out that assisted with that exercise, continues to maintain he's never had that happen. I mean, he's flown weather balloons with instrumentation in all sorts of different environments all over the country. And the only time that he's had this happen is at Skinwalker Ranch. Explain that.
Well, that was one of the things that I was kind of saving for close to the end, because that to me was one of the most interesting portions of the entire show. That and the really high, the extremely high, dangerously high level of microwave emissions.
Right.
Does that continue?
Really, yeah, it does, but it's transient. It's not predictable. We've brought out experts that have swept the property, that have surveyed the property for, radiation and for other harmful, types of issues on the property, and have come up zero. They've actually given the property a clean bill of health. I mean, again, one day we'll have someone come out, or 1 hour, and they'll do a full survey of the area, and they find nothing concerning. And then seemingly the next moment or shortly later, someone sees a spike or something shows up on the instrumentation that simply shouldn't be there. And I think, it really begs the question. I mean, what would be transient in nature? What could actually, show up on one side of the ranch, on one side of the 500 acres, and then, on another side in a completely different area that would be exhibiting the same degree of extreme electromagnetic force or effect, and why would this continue to attend some of the unexplained sightings and activity that we continue to monitor.
We only got about 4.5 minutes here left with you tonight, Brandon and Science Bob. I want to get this question in from our audience, because a number of times throughout our chat room, the To the Stars Academy has come into play here. What is your involvement or your team's involvement with the To the Stars Academy, considering there is a little bit of overlap in the two staffs there? Do you trade information?
There's no involvement. No, there's really no involvement or, no collaboration to date between our, effort, our team, and the TTSA effort. I respect and admire, what they are doing, and have been watching with great interest from afar. And, the one common denominator that we have is, we've had Dr. Hal Putoff as a trusted advisor in the past relative to the property, and that's probably the one common thread between the two organizations. But there really hasn't been any communication or collaboration whatsoever between the two, and I wish them the very best. Any effort that would advance research into these areas and elevate the dialogue is welcomed, and I have great respect for them and for others who are engaged in trying to get to the bottom of what is really happening.
Okay, let's ask a question about the show. You've already indicated that you're doing ongoing experiments, and that the show is being videoed. And as you've already mentioned, a lot of the things that happened are transient. Kind of how much of the next season's in the can?
We've been the team has been out there mobilized for several months of pretty continuous filming. Dr. Taylor actually has been stationed on site, has his own trailer on site there within steps of the command center, and has been engaged with the team. I mean, Eric Bard, our principal investigator, lives there at the command center with Dragon, Brian Arnold, who, I've known since we were 19 years old, and I have a long, trusted relationship with. And, the others between Thomas Winterton and Jim Morse are constantly interacting with the team and, dedicating their time and energies and focus to this effort. We have 10 episodes that are really going to be presented in season 2. And I think the public is going to be very surprised at what will be not only revealed, but I think the level of professionalism, the caliber of the science and the investigation as we've really been moving forward. We do listen to the criticism, to suggestions, and we have tried to incorporate a lot of that into, I think, better approaches to the challenges that we have with really investigating the phenomena.
That's terrific. Before we go, Brandon, we got about 1 minute left. We have a terrific bunch of followers on Twitter and Facebook for Spaced Out Radio, and many of the questions, as you know, came from them, and also many of the members of the Richard Dolan Forum wrote questions, and we want to thank them for giving us these great questions and interacting and arguing with us about what should be asked. And thank you so much for this engagement.
Oh, it's been awesome. I appreciate your interest and support of our effort, and we look forward to sharing what we learn with all of you. And we're humbled and honored to be a part of this community, and hopefully a part of the science of discovery.
And that's the main thing right there, the science of discovery. Brandon Fugal, Skinwalker Ranch owner, I want to say on behalf of all of our Spaced Out Radio listeners, it is an absolute pleasure to have you on this show. I hope we did enough to earn your trust and respect for you to return one day soon.
Hey, you bet. Looking forward to staying in touch and appreciate the time. And again, it's wonderful to have such not only spirited discussion, but I think professional engagement focused on these topics. I think it's about time. It's about time this comes out of the shadows. This is not a fringe topic. This is something that should be top of mind for everyone. This is the greatest science project of our time.
Thank you so much. Science Bob and Friends wraps up. We'll talk to Science Bob the second Wednesday of next month. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thaw rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us out and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
We're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But tomorrow, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we got room for them too. Good night. Fantastic show, guys. Fantastic show. I'll give you a few claps.
That was enjoyable.
Oh, wow. That was amazing. That was just amazing.
Well, I hope that was hopeful. Was that mission accomplished as far as what you wanted to hopefully achieve with the interview tonight?
Yeah. I think we just wanted to engage on what the science is. We knew we weren't going to go down to quantum mechanical equations, but we have a large enough audience of really smart people that just want to engage. And I will email you to set up an interaction with Eric and or you.
Is he still there?
All right. Awesome.
Oh, there he is. Oh, yeah.
Sounds good, guys.
Yeah. Thank you so much for.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Brandon. What a pleasure. And the fact that you were having fun and decided to go that extra half hour, that really means a lot to me as a host, and more importantly, our audience who is listening in. That's really classy.
Yeah. Hey, it's good to be with you, and I think it'll be fun to see how things evolve.
Absolutely, my friend. Thank you so much. Science Bob, thank you.
Thank you, Dave. It was great. I look forward to next month, and let me know when we're telling people who it is.
Oh, yeah. Well, we can give them a little hint now if you want.
All right.
Yeah.
You guys take care. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Brandon.
Thank you, and sleep well, and thanks for staying up late with us.
What a great guy.
Yeah, that was fun. That was so much fun.
Oh, dude, that was incredibly, incredibly fun. Do you want to give a hint to the YouTube audience who you got lined up for next month?
Well, he might be a well-known colonel in the field.
Okay, and I'm going to give a hint that I've had this person on once before, and he yelled at me twice on the air.
He can be a little touchy, so let's see if we can't stir him up a little. He's interactive, that much is for sure.
Oh yeah. What a great show. Like I'm buzzing over this. And you know what I liked about it? You could tell Brandon was enjoying it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, he's engaged, and yes. I feel like he had lots of issues he wanted to address in a public way that he knew we were going to poke at him about. Yeah. He knew we were going to poke. Yeah. We didn't leave the controversies out. We didn't take a sledgehammer to him, but we definitely addressed things like the alpaca incident. Are you in bed with the deep state? Who are you bought out by? And he addressed every one of those things directly.
Well, here's a good comment from Solarplex in the chat room. Dave, you guys have some really important questions there. You have no idea what just happened here. Maybe we don't. I don't know. But I'm pretty excited to find out. That's for sure. I think this was a winner.
Yep.
This was a winner.
Yep. It was fun. It was a great show. And primarily because we had an engaging, involved person who really wanted to be here. It was fun.
Absolutely. And you know what? I'm going to give a shout out to a good friend of yours and mine named John on Twitter who helped line this up for us. And we owe a lot of thank yous to John, and he has been in communication for a while with Brandon, and he's the one who really set the tone and said, Brandon, you need to do Spaced Out Radio. You're going to be treated well. You're going to get professional journalism and professional science. It's not a garbage show like a number of them out there, not to put anybody down, but he really helped lock that in for us getting Brandon. So, John, I know you're listening, and we owe this incredible show to you tonight because you're the one who kicked it off. So this isn't a Spaced Out Radio thing. It's not a Corrins thing. It's not a Dave thing or a Science Bob thing. This was a listener who has been able to, and a supporter of ours who's been able able to meet some and get the attention of a number of big names in this field, and he put it to good use by trusting us with this interview. So, John, thank you so much for believing in Science Bob, myself, and Spaced Out Radio to do a high quality interview like this. Thank you.
And if anybody wants to thank John, he's I Want to Know 2020 on Twitter. I want to know.
Yes, absolutely. Good dude. Good dude. And that was just so much fun. So much fun.
It was indeed.
I'm still
going
buzzing.
to go hit the sack.
Yeah.
I've got to go to bed.
Well,
I got stuff to do tomorrow.
I got to go out in the, I got editing to do here, but I have to, I'm going to get firewood in the morning. That's my entire job tomorrow is firewood. So I'm looking forward to it.
Very cool. It is beginning to get cold there, right?
You know what? It's starting to hover around 0 and around in the middle of the night. And that's just where I like it.
All right, man. Well, Dave, good night. It was fun.
All right, boss. You take care. We'll talk tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Science Bob, everybody. Science Bob. John, honestly, thank you. Let's give Jonathan in our chat room a good clap. All right. Good clap. We couldn't have done it without him. Yes. Good job. Good job. All right. I know one of the things I want to say is I know the chat room was buzzing with a lot of questions. Okay. And you know, we tried to work a number of them in, but when the difference between a show like this and everything, you know, we try and come in really, really prepared for a show like this. And I apologize. Normally, we try and make everything very interactive with you guys. We were trying to throw in a number of your questions. Bob was watching the chat room. I was watching the chat room. And I know there was probably way more questions out there than we were able to get to, and I apologize on that. But we also wanted to let Mr. Fugal talk because he doesn't get a lot of opportunities like this. And that's why we wanted to make sure that if he was going to talk, we were going to let him talk. And so that's what happened there. And, you know, it isn't that we were trying to dodge the audience questions or anything like that. There's just simply not. I mean, look, guys, we did 3 hours tonight with Brandon Fugal, and we could have done another 3 hours and we wouldn't have got through any or all of the questions that you guys had. Your questions were incredible. Thank you for being dialed in and tuned in to tonight's show. Just amazing. Heavenbound Daughter, welcome to Spaced Out Radio's chat room for the first time. I appreciate that. You know, I love it. We had so many new people in here tonight. So many new people. And God, I love it. I just love it when we're able to introduce new people to this show, man. I just love it. And I hope you got all you newcomers have an opportunity to fall in love with what we do, like a lot of people that we have listening in on a daily basis to our show here. So thank you for that. And thank you for the opportunity to earn your listening ears. I really do appreciate that. God, it feels like I have a hair in my throat. Hate that. Hate that. So, yeah, and wow, I am still buzzing over that. I mean, you know, Brandon in my opinion, so if I break this down, Brandon is the type of guy, he's a businessman first, never mind a family man, but he's a businessman first. Okay, family always comes first, but you know, when it comes down to it, he's got businesses to run. He's a multi-millionaire for a reason. And, for him to take 3 hours of his night to spend it with us, wow. Are we ever fucking lucky? Pardon my language, but my goodness, are we lucky? Thank you, Rich. Thank you, everybody. Amazing compliments from all of you. Thank you. And we're going to. Science Bob has a real plan for what we want to do with this Science Bob and Friends. And I have a feeling we're going to end up getting some major guests because of it. I really do. Really do. Wow. Wow. Oh, excuse me. That was pretty cool. That was really freaking cool. Doesn't it just make you want to, just want to go there and see what the hell is going on? Oh, I would love it. I would love it. Okay, what is going on here? Okay, so that's obviously not it. Cut it too close. Let's go here. What about there? Let me see here. Looking forward to it. Any hints on who, Dave? What are you talking about there, Bushy Beto? Or is it Bushy Bato? Oh, I would love to go to Skinwalker Ranch. I would go there in a friggin' heartbeat. Okay, so where is that? That should be around. Where is that? Is it right there? There it is, right there. Weird. It does not look normal. Time's out, right? Weird. Okay. Hey, Kristen Alberg. Yeah, we're just in the process of getting the super chat reset up. We had to get a PIN number from Google, which arrived. We're just in the process of getting everything set up. So that's what's happening with the super chat right now. It's a total YouTube thing. It is not a spaced out radio thing. And, but we got to comply to what they want. So that's kind of what we were doing there. Oh yeah, I would have no problem to pray. I'm a big God guy, so I'd have no problem having a prayer there. Good night, bombshell bomber. It would be cool to do a live interview from the ranch, but you know these people like Brandon, and when they get into that ilk, it's all about trust. They've been burned numerous times, and they have been they're very weary about press, because especially in this connotation, because the press, the paranormal media isn't a real media. Okay, so they get a little bit stingy, if we can use that word in a polite term. Okay, they get a little bit stingy with whom they allow and not allow on the show. Tomorrow night, by the way, Varla Ventura, another power show. The lovely and talented Varla Ventura, who will be on this month and next month as well for the Halloween, or lead up to Halloween, with some spooky stories. So the lovely and talented Varla Ventura. All right. Why did that not save? Save there, but not there. Weird. Hold on. Let's go like this. Okay, that's in there. Perfect. Perfect. We get rid of that. Save. But hold on. Let's go there now. See, yeah. See, it did that. It did that. And then we'll cut that out. We'll save that. That's okay. That works too. Perfect. So if I go like this, that should now not be there. Good. Good. We're moving in the right direction here. Damn it, I did that again. Yeah, Varla is an amazing person. Amazing person. Normally on our Halloween shows, we bring in Karyn Dahlman to do our Halloween shows. We do live Ouija board sessions on Halloween. We've done it like the last 3 years, and it's worked really, really well. So that's what we're going to continue to do. But we're going to probably book her for the 30th, since the 31st is on a Saturday. All right, there's that. Yeah, let's switch that over. Corey, usually the, let's go mid-October. I will do that here as soon as I'm done editing the show. Usually a Thursday works for her, Corrance. Hold on. Bomber. Please read my last two comments. Bomber Dave, sorry if I came off as a jerk tonight. Really just hoping I have for some encounter story. I've not looked into this. I've never watched a show. Didn't know there was a show, and I have no idea what happened there. I don't even like the idea of typing the name into my search bar. So was looking forward to this. I'm sorry that we didn't get into some stories for you, Bombshell Bomber. Thank you, Noon Baja. Appreciate that. People like Brandon are not about to give a lot of stories. And considering Science Bob and Friends is more of a scientific type show, it isn't about a lot of the stories. We try and take a different approach to things just to mix it up a little bit. I will try and get Brandon back on. And, excuse me. And see what we can do for you. Okay, beautiful? Almost time to get your verification codes ready. Hey, Greg Gilgan, welcome. All the way from Australia. $100 thumbs up. I'm only seeing 99 on this end. Stu Gerson. Right there, buddy. You know I love you. The Stu Gerson. Exactly, Shar. What is the verification code for? 6-digit number. That's it. 6-digit number. I'm still pumped right up about that. Pumped right up. God, that was fun. Oh, damn it. Where is everything here? What am I doing? What am I doing? Okay, so let's just go here. Let's share folder since that's done. All right, that one's done. Let's go here, add in the folder. All right. Transfer. And let's get to that verification code. Your verification code for tonight is 057846. Your verification code, once again, is 057846. Use it wisely to verify, people. Use it wisely to verify. I'll be right back, guys. I got something in my eye. My eye's really itchy, so I'm just going to go wash it out. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Let me tell you, having a black dog when you have no backyard lights, okay, and you know your yard is fenced, so you know the dog hasn't left the fence, but your dog's deciding that he wants to try and get angry with deer or whatever else is back there. Yeah, but he's not barking. He's just kind of there. Oh, that was a fun show. Fun show. Oh, man. True that. Well, when there's snow on the ground, I'll actually be able to see the dog because the snow actually glows at night. What an amazing show. Amazing show. Thank you so much for everybody there, man. That was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. On that note, I think I am going to bed. Varla Ventura tomorrow night. Remember, a great way to support what we do here on a nightly basis, excuse me, is to give us hit that subscribe button here on our YouTube channel and hit the bell so that way you know when we are going to be coming up live. You can support us by going to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and joining the Space Travelers Club for $5 a month, doing a little shopping at the SOR Vault. Also, a great way to support what we do. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Follow us on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Thank you so much for showing up and being a part of this magical night on the show. I really appreciate each and every one of you for tuning us on in. We'll do it all again tomorrow, so check it on out. 9 p.m. Pacific.